The big question is Occupy Wall Street and Tea Party. They're actually equating the two. One was an organic movement that started across this country without any one definitive leader that just talked about getting spending in order. Right. Occupy Wall Street, you can't get a definition of what they stand for.
And when you do get a clear answer, you don't air it, so what's the fucking point? Here's an example of a Fox News guy interviewing a protester, getting his answers, and Fox News didn't air it. Go figure.
Jesse, so Ray, your partner here, colleague,
comrade,
she got, seen the protests in Greece and Europe, elsewhere. Did you guys take your cue from that? Are you hoping to incite, certainly what was a lot of attention, if not police activity? I know over the weekend there was over 100 arrests, and you guys got things fired up. Are you taking your cues from the international movement? And how do you want to see this in? If you could have it in a perfect way, how would it be?
Well, I don't know. It's really difficult to kind of answer questions leading to those conclusions. I'd say that we didn't take our cue off of anybody, really. It became a more spontaneous movement. As far as seeing this end, I wouldn't like to see it end. I'd like to see the conversation continue. This is what we should have been talking about after 2008 when the economy collapsed. We basically patched a hole on the tire and said, yeah, let the car keep rolling. Unfortunately, it's fun to talk to the propaganda machine in the media, especially conservative leading networks such as yourself, because we find that we can't get conversations on the Department of Justice's ongoing investigation of News Corporation, for which you are an employee, but we can certainly ask questions like, why are the poor engaging in class warfare? Now, after 30 years of having our living standards decrease while the wealthiest 1% have had it better than ever, I think it's time for maybe, some participation in our democracy that isn't funded by news cameras and gentlemen such as yourself.
Okay, but let me give you this challenge, Jesse.
Sure.
We're here giving you an opportunity on the record with Credit Ancestry to put any message you want out there, give you fair coverage, and I'm not going to in any way be biased about it. So there is an exception to the case because you wouldn't be able to get your message out without us, yes?
No, certainly. I mean, take for instance when Glenn Beck was doing his protest and he called the president a person who hates white people and white culture. That was a low moment in Americans' history, and you guys kind of had a big part in it. So I'm glad to see you coming around and kind of paying attention to what the other 99% of Americans are paying attention to, as opposed to the far-right fringe who would love to just destroy the middle class entirely.
All right, fair enough. You have a voice and an important reason to criticize myself, my company, and anyone else. But let me ask you this. In fairness, does this administration or President Obama have any criticism as to the financial situation the country's in now?
I think myself, as well as many other people, would like to see a little bit more economic justice or social justice, Jesus stuff, as far as feeding the poor, health care for the sick. I find it really entertaining that people like to hold the Bill of Rights up while they're screaming at gay soldiers, but they just can't wrap their heads around the idea that a for-profit health care system doesn't work. So let's just look at it like this. If we want the president to do more, let's talk to him on a level that actually reaches people, instead of asking for his birth certificate and wasting time with total nonsense like cilantro.
Now, hundreds of liberal protesters have flocked to the streets of New York City in recent weeks. Their mission, Occupy Wall Street. Now, the group has attracted the attention of law enforcement, the media, and, of course, left-wing celebrities. And so today we wanted to find out exactly what this movement stands for, so we sent a team down to Wall Street to talk to these liberal protesters and find out what they're thinking. Let's take a look.
Yes, let's take a look.
Occupy Wall Street.
What brings you to Wall Street this afternoon?
This is where the enemy of the working class is, up in these buildings.
This is the beginning, not the middle. You're in the infancy of this movement.
Just want to know what brings you to Wall Street today.
I am here because our democracy has really turned into capitalism.
This really needed to happen. The world's going straight to hell in a handbasket. I don't even know what a handbasket is. Kill corporate greed.
This is the beginning of what is hopefully a growing movement.
There's many different views here.
It's about believing and loving.
We're trying to let people know what's going down.
I'm not a radical revolutionary, but I do believe the system needs fine-tuned.
I was born to be here. Right now, the Founding Fathers have been passing down the torch to this generation to make our country great again.
Grandchildren!
There are many things to complain about, especially health care and our government's resources. We need to use renewable resources.
I couldn't help but notice, as you're sitting here, are you receiving acupuncture?
Yes, I am. This lady sitting next to me came down here, again, in support of the cause and is offering free acupuncture.
What's happening here is a lot of discussion, a lot of trying to figure out what's going on.
Has the acupuncture been working as we've been sitting here?
Yes, I do feel an energy in my hands.
What have you seen that you do support?
Well, if you take pictures of all those signs over there, I probably agree with 75% of them.
If you could list a few of the concerns that people have in the park this week, what would that list include?
Well, that list would include environmental degradation, the intrusion of corporate dollars and corporate influence on politicians, Democrats and Republicans.
If you were to select a candidate, if you know to ultimately become president, is there a name out there that you could give us?
Yeah, Mao Zedong.
Mao Zedong. Joining me with reaction from Red Eye, Fox News correspondent Bill Schultz is here, along with the co-host of The Five. She takes on Beckel every day, Kimberly Guilfoyle. Guys, good to see you.
Good to see you, Sean.
I think my favorite was, I'm born to be here. No, you were born to be at a Grateful Dead concert.
Exactly.
First of all, the environment, it's healthcare. Our democracy has turned into capitalism. Genius, greed, believe in love.
It's like Woodstock meets Burning Man meets people with absolutely no purpose or focus in life. No wonder they have nothing but free time to be down there. They make up a slogan or a cause as they go along, and they're just looking to go out there, dirty the streets, and they really don't have any idea about what they're doing there.
Oh, I see. If you show a few clips of a few people that are a little bit on the edge or on the fringe or maybe don't know what they're talking about, it disparages and proves wrong the entire movement. Well, shit, I can play that game. You guys remember the Teabaggers? There were idiots.
Keep Obama's hands off my Big Mac!
Obama is a communist.
I'm out here for tax. I mean, he's raising the taxes like crazy, and we need freedom. We didn't vote for this health care that he planned.
What are you coming out here necessarily to oppose, or what is your purpose here today?
Well, mainly it's the health care bill that's trying to get pushed through. I don't really feel that that's the government's job.
Yeah. Can you tell me about the bills that are being proposed right now?
Not really.
There won't be enough doctors to take care of the people that he wants to bring on. I mean, we're going to be 200,000 doctors short.
So what should happen with these people without care?
A different plan.
Could a different plan produce more doctors?
No.
Fire those wacky czars. Now, tell me about the concern over czars.
We don't need no stinking czars. I'm opposed to czars.
I want people to know, what is a czar? You know, what are they? You know, they're a Russian king. Here, Jesus is our king.
You guys share some of the concerns about czars? Or?
Yes, well, I don't even know why Obama appointed a czar. What are they doing? Tsar came from Caesar in the Roman times, and then Russian czar.
Yeah.
This is America. We don't have czars in America.
Well, you have any thoughts?
And, well, the czars, we don't know who they answer to. We don't know how much they're being paid. We don't know what their jobs are.
Take a picture of my shirt.
It's actually, the first czar in the United States was appointed by Ronald Reagan. Does anyone find a concern with that?
Only due to ignorance. I've never heard that.
Yeah, he appointed a drug czar. Czars were expanded under George W. Bush. There were actually a few more czars appointed under George W. Bush. Were you guys aware of that?
We just don't know who they answer to.
What's the concern if they have no one to answer to?
We don't know what their power is. We don't know what are they going to start doing. Are they going to be given land and power over the government when...
Now, all of the czars that have been appointed, whether under Ronald Reagan, whether under George W. Bush, or whether under Barack Obama, actually have no executive powers, no administrative powers. They only act as advisory committees.
I just don't think we should have.
You know this, how?
The czars in the Obama administration are only advisory roles. They actually have no executive power.
That I don't know.
Did we appoint them to start advising anyone? Who are they advising? The president, our government officials?
Well, we've had advisors for our presidents for a long time. I think the concern is in large part due to the terminology which began under Ronald Reagan.
Yeah. Well, I'm learning a lot more about the Republicans also. I've always been a Republican. I think that's changing.
Why thank you, Glenn Beck?
Well, because this wouldn't have happened without Glenn Beck.
Do you like Glenn Beck?
I love Glenn Beck.
Glenn Beck is such a logical thinker.
Not enough for you? There were assholes.
At one point, a man whose sign said he had Parkinson's sat down in front of healthcare opponents.
If you're looking for a handout, you're in the wrong end of town. Nothing for free over here. You have to work for everything you get. Good to know.
No, I'll pay for this guy. Here you go. Start a pot. I'll pay for you. I don't want a handout. I tried. No, I'll decide when to give you money. There, there's another one. There you go.
You love a communist.
No, start the pot.
That can be corrected.
No more handouts.
Well, that was easy. Tea Party movement discredited. And of course, we all remember that Fox News pretty much sponsored the Tea Party.
Get ready to Tea Party.
April 15th, all across the country, citizens are standing up.
Here in D.C., what I'm covering in Lafayette Park, tomorrow morning, 1 million tea bags will be delivered by like 9 a.m.
Fox on top of tea parties, full steam ahead.
Americans outraged over unfair and crippling taxes.
How to get involved in the hundreds of Tea Party protests.
Not happy with how the government is spending your tax money and taking from you in tax money? You're not alone.
Angry taxpayers are going online and attending tea parties.
How about you? Would you go to one of these tea parties?
You know, it is unlike anything we've ever seen before, at least in recent history.
Hundreds of thousands of outraged Americans may turn out.
We know of at least 500 cities.
Hundreds of towns and cities.
Hundreds of these tea parties.
Now we're talking about 500 cities tomorrow.
We are tracking 760 cities.
Look at all of them. That's where they're expected to be tomorrow.
Now more evidence that they're just getting bigger and bigger.
It's touched a nerve in American
people. At a a grassroots level, are fed up. It is a grassroots movement.
The big question will be whether or not the mainstream media will cover it.
The mainstream media is not reporting on them. Will the mainstream media cover these tea parties? I think they may be forced to.
I've seen the other networks kind of mention them, but in a mocking way.
Yeah, because they don't understand.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Okay, well, people are mad.
A couple of tweets on Twitter. I think this could be the start of a real revolution.
It may end in a revolution.
Taking a stand at the Alamo, citizens revolt against more taxes.
Sean Hannity is getting 8,000 people in Atlanta.
Sean Hannity is going to be in hot Atlanta.
Sean is on the scene with Newt Gingrich, Joe the Plumber,
Rick and Bubba, Mike Huckabee, Neil Bortz, and a special performance by singer John Rich.
Let's take a look at all the hit shows here at Fox that are going to be covering the tea parties. Neil Cavuto, he's live in Sacramento. Glenn Beck in San Antonio.
It's powerful Tea Party coverage.
I'm going to one. Are you going to be at one of these?
I'm covering one.
When these people are going to the tax tea party, and I've said that there's the taxes.
By the way.
Well, I'm just attending. Fox isn't sponsoring any of this stuff. We're just realizing there are a lot of people across the country who are not happy with.
There's a big difference between covering something and promoting it.
April 15th, as Tea Party sweep the nation on tax day, we're there with total, fair, and balanced network coverage. Live.
This administration has changed the direction of the economy towards more government and less private enterprise. That's what's happened, and that's what these people are protesting. And there's nothing wrong with that. It is not a sham, and it is not a fraud. It's now my great duty to promote the tea parties. Here we go.
The big question is Occupy Wall Street and Tea Party. They're actually equating the two. One was an organic movement that started across this country without any one definitive leader that just talked about getting spending in order. Right. Occupy Wall Street, you can't get a definition of what they stand for.
And if you could list a few of the concerns that people have in the park this week, what would that list include?
Well, that list would include environmental degradation, the intrusion of corporate dollars and corporate influence on politicians, Democrats and Republicans.
Occupy Wall Street, you can't get a definition of what they stand for.
So long story short,
the average American taxpayer knows that at the end of the day, they're going to be on the hook for the trillions and trillions of dollars that we're using to bail out these companies, some of whom have been irresponsible, and they are expressing their frustration, which I think is quintessentially American. They hate corporations, they hate capitalism, and in the end, ultimately, they want statism over free markets. So they really don't like freedom.
Cocktopus out.
You were down there. How long were you down there for?
Too long, Sean. Too long.
I heard the people have been living there, not showering, and the stench is horrific.
It is equal parts patchouli, body odor, and urine. And if you can imagine all of that together, that was the aroma that I carried back with me to Fox News. Or at least the excuse I used.
I hope you showered before.
But it inspired you to shower and comb your hair.
Look how much more presentable I am after being around that filth.
Almost unrecognizable. I like it.